All cards are played, but not all cards are cast. Welcome, everyone. This is episode 29 of the Snapcast podcast with your hosts, Brad O'Brien and Mike Cooley. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. If you haven't already, go ahead and just tap on that subscribe button. Let us know you really enjoy this content. Helps us out a lot. We got a cool show, man. We're just going to, as always, talk about Magic the Gathering and magic-related things. And
way to put that up front.
Yeah, right. We gotta do it. Gotta let you guys know what's going on.
Here's what you're in for.
In case you are, not the typical group, and you've happened across this video on YouTube somewhere, and you're like, "What the hell are these guys talking about? What's going on here?" Just letting you know up front, this is what we do. All right, dude. So we saw some interesting speculation in the community this week about sort of a, what if Splinter Twin was unbanned. We had called this. If you guys remember this, all right, we're going to have to do a clip or something.
We will have to do a flashback. We'll put it in here.
Here's the conspiracy theory. They are going to unban Splinter Twin in Modern. And I'm going to walk you through the logic. And I also think they're going to reprint it in August in this set. Like, it is, first of all, it's Splinter Twin. Like, how would that not make a double Masters set? Word. Well, if you remember that, we were talking about this stuff a while ago, as soon as this double Masters thing was announced. And now, dude, it's really got us thinking. Like, someone obviously got the idea from us, and now they're just trying to make it.
That's what we were thinking.
I mean, they obviously, that's what went down.
I think a lot of people may have come to this revelation.
Oh, for sure, man. But it got us thinking, though. And we were like, what should we be checking out on the banned list? You know what I mean? Wizards is always looking at this stuff. They have a regimen. They look at this stuff like every month or so, and they revisit it. But does anyone really preemptively visit the ban list and start thinking, like, what if? How would this change things?
Oh, definitely. Scumbag speculators do, like us.
Of course. So, so that's what we're doing, man. We're just like thumbing down through some ban lists here and checking out some cards and asking ourselves, what if? Like, what if things were different for these cards?
Let's see what happens if we took the road less traveled and that made all the difference.
Right.
Dude, so Splinter Twin.
Yeah.
We talked about it. We played the clip. If they unban Splinter Twin, what's the first thing that you think of?
Force of negation. Buy them.
I don't see anything wrong with that, especially if you want to play Twin. Right now, we just looked it up a few minutes ago. Channel Fireball is willing to give you like $35 in-store credit for a Force negation.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever they're priced at now, if it's $40 or $50, chances are they're worth it.
Dude, even like the decks that would be playing against Splinter Twin would be investing in Force of Negation.
Oh.
And even Splinter Twin would be investing in Force of Negation.
So basically everybody would be.
Everyone's going to be running that card. Like, I know it's demoralizing because right now they're like $45, $50 or something like that. Trust me, I hate even hearing myself say this, but I think if they don't reprint this in double Masters, I might have to double down and go get a couple more. I
don't see any reason why they would include the Force cycle in double Masters.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, dude.
Specifically the Modern Horizons Force cycle.
Right. I mean, they just printed those. Like, most of the Modern Horizons ones were pretty unplayable anyway. Like, you had Force of Vigor and Force of Negation. And those were like those were the big ones.
Those are the playable ones.
Yeah, those are the playable ones. The black one was sweet. The Force of Destruction or something. I'm not sure.
Any creatures that entered the battlefield that turn.
Yep, exactly.
GTFO.
So it's only a 3-mana kill spell, but it kills everything that, or you can obviously pitch a black card to it too. But like, it kills everything that came into play that turn. So It's interesting. I haven't seen many people play it, but it's playable. The red one is just atrocious. So is the white one.
Yeah.
Like, they're just terrible. But
they're not going to reprint them. And, without looking at Double Masters, I can't remember if that was purely Modern Legal or if they were going to have Legacy and Vintage cards in there as well.
I think...
maybe they would do Force of Will again because that one has gone back through the roof.
Yeah, they're obviously doing the Legacy and Vintage thing too, right? Because they're doing Mana Crypt.
Yeah, so there you go. Answered our own question.
Yep.
Don't mind me, it's Thursday.
Hey, it's Thirsty Thursday. Where the hell's your drink, Brad?
It's right here. A lovely polar raspberry lime.
I got one of those going too. It's just not as noticeable. I've mixed it with something.
Chemistry.
Can't remember what.
What else do I think when I think of Splinter Twin coming back?
Dude, people are going to start playing Path to Exile again.
Yep.
We're going to make Path great again.
That's okay. I've got some brews that might want to use Path to Exile.
What about these new cards that are printed that says that say creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger, or entering or leaving?
Yeah.
Because I feel like
Hushbringer.
Yeah. Yeah. What about cards like that, man? I mean, those are pretty much on the edge of being good right now in Modern anyway.
How about Containment Priest into Modern?
Oh, well, it doesn't stop Twin though.
Because it's a token.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Doesn't stop Twin, unfortunately, but, well, weird.
You think, every once in a while I give WotC some credit, like thinking that they put these puzzle pieces in place on purpose.
Yep.
And then you're like, yeah, but actually no.
No, they just was winging it. That doesn't, yeah, damn you, Wizards. Damn you.
Oh, that reminds me, at the end of the episode, I have an interaction to share with our listeners.
I can't wait.
It's been a couple of weeks since I've had one that I was excited about.
Oh, yeah. Dude, so, yeah. I mean, this was one that we had heard about in the community that people were talking about, was this Splinter Twin. And I think for sure you can see, like, in the market price, Brad pointed it out to me today, like, it's shot up to, like, $20. Just past $20.
So on July 7th, it started moving. Today's the 9th. So in the last 3 days, it's gone from $9.90 to about $11.60.
Wow.
It's just a big spike in a short period of time because it's people speculating on the fact that this could be Modern Legal on Monday. Now, here's a question. When do we start getting spoilers for Double Masters? Because those have to be coming any minute now.
Yeah, you'd figure. I mean, the most recent set has been released. So
this is the next thing that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
When is Double Master spoiler season starting? God, I love the internet. And of course, there's no answer. This post was deleted by the person that posted it. Damn, you read
man. Well, you know what? We're gonna know that right away as soon as they start getting posted on Mythic Spoiler, bro.
I know, but I guess what I was getting at is this card is spiking right now on the idea that Monday we could hear something.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're going to start spoilers for this set on Monday, that would make sense. If they're going to start the spoilers for this set in 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, they announced it 6 weeks ago, right? Just about 6.
Double Masters?
Yeah. So, yeah, May 21st. No, I'm sorry. What is it? When was... Its release date is August 7th.
So its release date is a month.
Yeah, it's a month from now. They're releasing this. So they're gonna start spoiling this stuff real soon.
The longest I think they ever take with spoiler season is about 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's definitely been more than that since they announced it. I think it was in May they announced that, right? Late May.
Right. So what we're saying is
it's time.
Back from we've got another week before they start spoilers. Probably. Okay. So if it's August 7th is the release, you might think July 14th, 15th, whatever date that is.
Yep.
Wherever that falls on a calendar. Let's take a look at July. and really try and narrow this down. I don't think people listening actually care. But like it's either going to be the 13th or the 20th that they're going to start these.
And it very well could be Monday. Like it very because why would they miss this opportunity? Like to
announce it with the unbanning.
Yeah, to announce it with the unbanning. Just like they did with Jace. Like,
so that was going to be my next question was, did they announce the reprinting of Jace at the same day as the unbanning?
Yes, I do believe they did. Yep, it was like that same day. It might even have been before. Like Jace might have been spoiled before the unbanning.
Mm.
Yeah, and Brad's looking this up right now.
So the February 12th, 2018, Jace the Mind Sculptor unbanned.
Yep.
And that was printed in... What was that?
2018?
Which would have been Ultimate Masters or Eternal Masters?
Eternal Masters.
Yeah. Jace.
Do you think Jace goes up in price if Splinter Twin gets unbanned? I know they don't
was
really...
Was it played in the original builds?
No, it was banned back then.
Gotcha. So they never had a chance to do it.
Yeah, they never had a chance
Never
had a chance to play them side by side.
I don't think so.
This is a decent price for a Jace right now, dude. $78.
It feels like a decent price because you have the memory of a turtle that thinks, or an elephant that can think back to 10 years ago when that card was stupidly expensive.
Well, the cheapest I ever remember the card was $40, but on average...
So it's like twice that now. It's pretty expensive.
Yeah,
it's cheap for a Jace.
Yes, like because if you remember... Price memory. If you remember before it was unbanned, it was like $60, $65. So that's not an entirely bad price for Jace right now after an unbanning and only one reprinting. Yeah. Yep.
So far,
one reprinting after the unban. Yep.
Let's see. That doesn't really give us a date. I'm trying to find out when the spoilers were.
Oh, it'll give you a date there. If you go back to that, you just see if you click on it and see if there's a date, an effective date associated with it. There, yeah. So you see when people started posting?
$70 to $100, perfectly fine with getting one of these.
4 years ago? No
right, way. That doesn't seem like 2018 to me.
It's not 2018. That's so friggin' weird.
Trying to time travel here live on the podcast. Yep. This is probably not engaging content. We apologize.
So fast forward.
Fast forward.
Either way, I think you know that there was a big uproar about it when they released that they were reprinting Jace and they unbanned it. Like it was, you guys know this. It was only like a couple of years ago. You remember it being a very close, if not simultaneous, announcement. So that's something to think about with what's coming up here in Double Masters. So I think we have kind of talked about Splinter Twin a lot. Okay. And the other people that had talked about this were, kind of going ad nauseum on about Splinter Twin.
So what you're saying is, if you are interested in more Splinter Twin speculation, it's out there online right now.
Faux show. Dude, so...
What are you interested in? You want to see Jitte unbanned?
Dude, hell no. If Jitte got unbanned, we might see Brad quit Magic. If Jit was legal in Modern, humans are just dead.
So I mentioned Jit immediately because at F&M, I sort of, I don't want to say I surveyed the room, but I had conversations with a bunch of different people in the room about, what do you think about Splinter Twin being unbanned? What do you think could be unbanned? And had a long conversation with Nick Blanchard, and he's absolutely doesn't think that Splinter Twin can be unbanned.
I honestly, I think it can go either way. Like it's very, it's one of those cards that
we're still talking about Splinter Twin.
Yeah, it's one of those cards. Here, this is what we'll leave it on this because this is a good point, and especially whereas Blanchard brought it up. He's an educated player, right?
Yeah.
It could go either way. It's one of those cards that you and I can look at it and be like, yeah, dude, format's healthy enough for it. But then you don't anticipate that it changes the entire format again. And like, there's certain decks that are no longer playable because they have no shot against Twin. Like, for example, I think Twin would very easily beat humans. Like, I
they'd
think
have to totally change.
I mean, it would just be, they would obviously run the force of negations, right? So they're forcing your vial so that you cannot interact with them. And anything that you put down for interaction turn 2 or 3, they're going to remove. And then when they're going to go for it, they just go for it.
Why are you trying to beat my soul down right now?
That's but all I'm saying is,
you understand why they might not.
Like, I think suddenly humans goes from like one of the best decks to like not unplayable, but tier 2 because Splinter Twin's in. And then because that happened, what takes that spot and what starts, and before you know it, it's morphed the whole format again all around Splinter Twin.
Yeah.
And you don't have affinity to fight back against it anymore because they're not quick enough without Mox Opal. Like, so it's an interesting, that's a very interesting choice for Blanchard. I could see it going either way.
Well, and the way he talked about it was interesting because he said you basically had your tempo twin decks, your control twin decks, that there were all of these different sort of variations or flavors that you could play as well.
Right.
But then he said 2 other cards. One was Wild Speculation, and he got chided about it. A lot of people were like, "Oh, no way." He said, "Oh, well, they could unban Pod. We have all these Pod effects now, and none of them are any good." Yeah. And everybody in the room was sort of like,
"No, nah, that's the same reason they banned it. They can never bring it back." That was nail in the coffin language that they used. They basically said, "This card has gotten out of hand.
Yeah.
We cannot begin to imagine the types of creatures we're going to print in the future that would be good with this. So for that reason, we have to ban it."
Yeah.
That's nail in the coffin language. They're never bringing it back.
So then his third case. So he was, absolutely no to this. Absolutely yes to this. This card, I think, would be reasonable. He said shit.
No way is that reasonable. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No way is that reasonable.
No.
Like, that's...
Maybe with an errata.
Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe if it's sorcery speed or something. I don't know. But, dude, so what about Green Sun Zenith, though? What if that card got unbanned?
Why are you even thinking that?
Dude,
green needs something else?
Green Suns? Dude. You could turn 1 ramp into your Dryad Arbor, right? That's always a thing. But is it too broken? It's not a Mox Opal. And then what? You're just going to tutor for a combo piece that we've already talked about this. Like, instant speed tutors are where it's at in those types of decks. Sorcery speed is out the window. You can't have something come into play the turn that you need it. You can't have it come into play and then give them the chance to respond to it and all of this shit. Has to be a green creature. So like,
well, that's stupid. Nobody's going to play this card.
Yeah, exactly.
So why would they unban it? But
well, because no one's going to play it anyway. You know
and
what I
it
mean?
just gives people the feel goods in their nether regions. Like,
exactly.
I think that they're only going to unban cards that people are asking for.
Nah, really? You think so, though?
What if they unbanned Jace, Stoneforge Mystic, Bitter Blossom? Like cards that people were like, we want those cards.
Yeah, but I feel like they can't really pander to what they can't wait for their players to demand a card to be unbanned. I feel like you have to, as much as they would say no to players, like if that was the case, then people would just be like, all right, unban Jet or unban all of this. And then
right, but nobody thinks that that's reasonable.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but all I'm saying is, like, wouldn't you, as a, if you're Wizards of the Coast, wouldn't you just be like, yeah, dude, this card probably isn't that broken. Let's just unban it and see what happens. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? They did it with, what the hell was it? It was, They do it with banning cards all the time. They ban cards that sometimes people aren't talking about. You know what I mean? That they're like, okay. Like Mox Opal was a clear one. Some people were talking about it for sure.
A lot of people,
but there was a lot
for a long time.
There was a lot of disagreement on it. There was a lot of disagreement. And
I didn't see that. I mean, I saw people that played and loved their Mox Opals saying, "Don't take $400 out of my pocket and burn it."
Yeah, I mean, I suppose.
But I saw a lot of other players saying Mox Opal is unfair.
Okay, well, either way, I mean, whether I'm right or wrong about this, why the hell would they just be like, oh yeah, no one's asking us to unban it, so we're just going to overlook it? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, Green Suns is not busted. It's not even good in Modern, I don't think, right now.
No, I think it would not be played in Modern.
So, like, why not unban it? Just see what happens.
Just to shorten up the reserve list and the ban list and call it a day.
Exactly. Just get rid of it. Like, get it off there, man. Even for example, now, hear me out. Mox Opal no longer being a thing, right?
Unban one of the artifact lands?
Yeah. What if they unbanned, like, some of the off-color artifact lands that Affinity just never played those colors? I mean, are you really going to jam more lands in your deck just to sack them to Ravager? Like, I don't think people are. Even if you unbanned all of them. Even if you were just unbanning everything except Seat of the Synod.
The one that I just clicked on.
Yeah, everything except that one. Because obviously, you know, that brings Thought... Well, actually, no. Fuck it. Throw that one in there, too. It brings Thoughtcast back into Affinity.
Yep.
It brings Thoughtcast back into Affinity.
Could you imagine if Hardened Scales could play Tray of Tales?
That'd be good.
What?
That'd be good.
It would be very good.
Yeah. I'd chuck it in there. But the thing is, when you do that, right?
Yep.
When you do that kind of thing, you're making your deck more vulnerable to things like Ghost Quarter and Path to Exile. Because people are going to take out their 3 or 4 basics in Hardened Scales to put that in there. They're not taking out their utility lands that have saved your life in some games. They're probably not taking those out. They definitely have some options now because Mox Opal was banned, but like they're probably taking out a lot of basic lands for it. So yeah, all right, make your deck more vulnerable to Path to Exile, which if you unban Splinter Twin, but people are going to be playing that too. You know what I mean? They're going to be playing Ghost Quarter.
We definitely are. I think it's pretty obvious to say, but for people that don't know, like the artifact lands were banned because of Mox Opal.
They were banned because of Arcbound Ravager.
Because of Arcbound Ravager?
Yep, they were banned because of Arcbound Ravager and the dark time that was standard when those cards were in rotation together. Like, they were in the, you know, for the people that don't remember the dark days of Affinity, you had 2 decks in Standard. It was literally considered the worst time of Standard. You had 2 decks. You had Affinity and you had Anti-Affinity. Those are the only 2 decks you could play. There was, mark my words, no other deck you could play. You just was not good. You could try to play a deck that could be Anti-Affinity, but you're going to get smashed by Affinity, which is what a lot of people were playing. And if you build a deck to beat Affinity, it had better specifically be Anti-Affinity, or you were going to get beat by Anti-Affinity. Like, you know what I mean? It was really bad, man. Like,
okay.
So
and because you could sack all these lands to your Ravager.
Right, exactly. Yep. But now there's so much more efficient removal in Modern. There's way more removal in Modern than there ever was in that dark time of Standard that was in Standard at that time. There's better ways to deal with it. And yeah, dude, I think that it would make Affinity playable again. Like, traditional Affinity would make it playable again for sure. You'd see people running Thoughtcast, going back to that version of it. Galv Blast, Thoughtcast, that type of stuff. But you wouldn't have the busted Mox Opal start.
Yeah, you wouldn't puke your hand out on one.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you might still puke your hand out on like 1 or 2 because you have the Frogmite and you have Mirror Enforcer. So like turn 2, you could.
Actual Affinity?
Yeah, it would actually bring actual Affinity back, is what I'm thinking. And like, I think it's time. Like, I think it's time, dude.
You know what else it might be time for?
Oh, hell no. Don't even Don't even.
If they don't ban Uro, I want Deathrite Shaman unbanned.
Oh man, no, because you know what's gonna happen. Then
Uro
Uro's
will
gonna
play.
tank. Like Uro's gonna never be used in Modern because Deathrite Shaman is everyone's
No,
gonna be
they'll
using
just
it.
be played together, so you can turn to Uro more often.
Oh man, yep. Jesus, that's so bad. Yeah, then you'll have to play Deathrite Shamans to fight against your opponent's Euro Deathrite Shaman deck. Also, that you can slam your own Euro on turn 2. Yeah, it's just gonna get stupid. Also, that Splinter Twin can
So,
just come in and stop
you
it
know,
all.
sometimes WotC does things for reasons unknown. Sometimes these bannings just make sense.
Oh yeah.
A lot of these cards are pretty hard to argue to unban.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What do you see on here that you think they could unban?
I think Glimpse of Nature is also a fine unbanning in Modern. All because elf decks have typically always been on the they've been on the edge of being a really good deck.
Yeah.
And what always made them really, really good in Legacy was Glimpse of Nature. But now, these elf decks are not necessarily casting a lot of their spells. They're dumping them in with Collected Company. They're tutoring for them. They're trying to either combo or something. You know what I mean? Sure, if you get that going, you can draw into your combo. You can draw into a lot more dudes. But you don't have the Gaia's Cradle that you have in Legacy. You have more efficient board wipe and removal now in Modern. You have friggin' Force of Negation. You have a Force of Will in Modern, specifically for cards like this. Bring it back, dude. Unban it. Glimpse of Nature. For sure. I think that one's fine. And if it does get unbanned, like if they ever do unban Glimpse of Nature,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, it's going in Elves decks. There's no other, like that's the deck it's going in. So if that happens,
It's not going in cats.
is that,
Sorry. Go ahead.
dude, what do you think
That
spikes
was
in
for
price?
Andy.
Oh yeah, right, dude. Yeah, the thing
What do
is,
I
it has
think
to be
spikes in price if this is legal for elves?
if it's just legal in Modern. Like, what do you? Thinking about Elves, what do you think goes up? Like Guiltleaf Palace for sure, right?
Yeah.
Like the card we talked about. That's like, this is stupid low, dude. Elves
Yep.
is not played right now. Like, it's stupid low.
I think it'll be green black.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, just more people will play elves, so even if it's split on what the right build is,
Right.
more copies are going to be played.
Yeah, it's like an elf staple. You know what I mean? It's pretty good.
Is it still stupid cheap?
Yeah, like $2-3 maybe. If it's gone down, like, yeah, it's definitely one to get. Guiltleaf Palace. Yeah, I guess one at the. Yeah, I don't know though. All time low was $1.69. Yeah, you can buy them for $3 on Card Kingdom. Yep. Yeah, $3. So they haven't really changed much since we talked about them, but that would definitely be one. It also just caught a reprint, dude, in the mystery boosters. So, but yeah, like that one. What else, dude? Like, what if they ban? Oh man, what if they unban Green Sun Zenith and Glimpse of Nature?
Would they? So, again, thinking sort of meta perspective, green has been so arguably overpowered in the last year or two of standard and creeping into modern. I don't know if that even looks good to say, oh, by the way, we looked and these green cards can come off the list.
I mean, I agree. It's definitely been overpowered, but a lot of your green decks in modern, like the ones that are just busted, have been devoted druid decks, like in one way or another.
Yeah, or now it's the, for a little while it was, the Urza decks, and now it's the snow control, the Bant decks.
Yeah.
Like they're playing a lot of blue green.
Oh yeah, but none of those decks right there, like
Are going to run either of those.
Either
cards.
one of those cards. Like they're not going to benefit from either one of those cards being unbanned. However, you might see the fringe green, like the aggro green decks or like the elf green decks, really come into like existence and actually be something. And I'll tell you what, one deck that potentially could beat Splinter Twin out the gate from just being faster than it.
Elves.
Exactly. Like, oh, you don't have Force of Negation, Splinter Twin? Well, you're dead. Like, with all the cards that have been printed out there now for elves, man, get out of town. Like, that can be really good with Glimpse of Nature.
Now, there have been a whole lot of printings of Llanowar elves, and I know people love their OGs, but those full art open house promos are pretty gorgeous.
From Dominaria?
Yeah.
Oh, man, look at those. Yeah, those are sexy. You got to put a shot of those up on the screen there and show people what we're talking about.
Yeah,
those are sexy. I mean, I might prefer those over a beta Llanowar, dude. That's rare.
I certainly appreciate the price better. I mean, these are not dirt cheap. Moderately played foils are $750 LP, $750 near mint.
Yep.
$7-8. You're on to screen 2. One of the things that I always look for is how cheap would it cost me to get a playset. It would cost me, $28, $29 with shipping. I mean, it's an Eternal card.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. I don't know. But
yeah, it's sort of one of the things we were talking about last week, too, is like, okay, when are they going to reprint something like this with these crazy arts and borders and all that, too? So that's another thing I would think about.
That is another thing. They may print another masterpiece Llanowar elves at some point.
Can you imagine, dude? People get all over it.
It had been a long time out of standard before it hit Dominaria. I don't know that we're going to see it again until we're back in a standard format with Bolt.
Right. I'm so glad you went there. I was just thinking the same thing. It's sort of like the green Bolt, if you think about it. Like, well, I guess Birds of Paradise is, but like,
yeah. But when was the last time we saw that?
Yeah, like, you know what I mean. It's sort of along the same lines, though. Like, I'm surprised they brought it back in standard when they did.
Yeah.
Insane.
So yeah, dude.
So those are, if we're really trying to drive it home, right? Like, if we're trying to say, all right, we want to speculate with what if. Those are some really good what if cards for Modern. I really don't think they change much of anything if they get unbanned. Possibly the only thing that I might go back on my word on is those artifact lands. Like,
you might regret that later.
That's the only thing where I'm like, okay, as these words are coming out of my mouth, I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that, buddy. But those, I mean, Christ, dude, the friggin' Green Suns and Glimpse of Nature, bring them back, dude. Bring it back, that old New York rap. Dread Return, there's no way that can come back.
No.
Nope. Dark Depths, though? Bring it back. Bring it back.
That's interesting. There is a lot more exile-based removal.
Yeah, bring it back, dude.
I don't think that would change much.
Bring it back.
One thing that I have sort of always yearned for is some kind of lands deck in Modern. Like, why don't we have enough unique land effects at this point?
Yeah.
And I honestly thought when Blast Zone got there that we had to be pretty close.
Yeah.
Perhaps with the fetch lands in the Mystic Sanctuary, you could have some loams or something. I mean, I guess you could just loam.
Yeah, you could do that. But if you think about it, right? Like, the deck that they're worried about this becoming, there's no friggin' way it's coming to Modern. Like, they're worried about Modern turning into, the land decks in Modern turning into legacy lands.
Yeah.
That's not ever going to happen. You do not have Lion's Eye Diamond. You don't have the Punishing Fire. Like, that's banned. They're probably never unbanning it. Like, you don't have Punishing Fire, Lion's Eye Diamond. You don't have the Mox that lets you discard a land. You don't have these busted cards that let you dump all your lands in your graveyard. And that's exactly how they got extremely busted in Legacy. Is like, you don't have Exploration. You don't have that either. That's a very, very crucial card in that build. Is, you need some way to just ramp your lands into play very, very quickly with blatant disregard as to what type they are. And that's just, you don't have that in Modern. Yeah, sure, you might be able to get, every once in a while, you might be able to tutor something up and get a 20/20 on the board after investing 3 or 4 cards into, making it there. Okay, great, path. Guarantee you're not running counter.
I'll tell you what, Field of the Dead is doing a hell of a lot of work in Modern.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I mean, every Titan player loves their Field of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think those would be fine.
I think that would be an interesting thing.
For sure, dude.
Hey, let's pop over and just look at what's going on maybe in the standard Modern Pioneer metagame. And actually, before we even start this, Just saying the word pioneer triggered me.
Jesus, are you okay? Should I?
I don't know. Hold me. I'm kidding. We talked about this probably halfway between the start of COVID and now.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not Pioneer was sort of dying on the vine. The only place to play Pioneer right now is on Moto. Nobody likes the metagame. Or, I shouldn't say that. There are not as many people enjoying the Pioneer metagame as were excited about it 4 months ago.
Good way to put it. The metagame leaves something to be desired. That's for sure.
And people are playing this curated historic form,
on Arena.
On Arena.
Yeah.
I format. I couldn't find the word format in my brain.
Which it has so much more traction than Pioneer does right now.
It does.
That's all I hear people
can play
talking about.
And they can play it for free.
Right.
Or nearly for free.
Exactly. And they're cards that they have in standard. If they ever bring it to tabletop, like they don't have to get rid of them right away. It's like a new extended, dude.
So, and I apologize. I almost always like to give credit where credit is due, but I did hear on another podcast this week more speculation on whether or not Pioneer was dead. I do know also that the Masters of Modern podcast did a whole episode last week on if Pioneer is dead.
Really?
Yeah. Like
we've been talking about that, homies.
Yeah.
Why you listening to those other podcasts? We've been talking about it right here. We've been talking about it right here.
I'm afraid they might be right. I think they even speculated so far as to say, just make historic a paper format.
God, yeah.
Like Pioneer died. Sorry.
Yeah.
You had planned 6 months of awesome events for it, and then the world shut down.
Yep.
You're going to get that hype back in 6 months from now when they start having large paper tournaments again.
That was a sign that Modern is your best Eternal format. Don't F with it.
Well, and I think I said those exact words. Like, what are people coming out of quarantine looking to play? As soon as in our episode where we talked about being able to go back to the shop the first time, people came out for Modern. They wanted double Modern on a Friday night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Standard metagame on Goldfish. Most played deck, Bant Ramp. Go figure. You get to play Ugin the Spirit Dragon in Standard. You want to play it as fast as you can, and God. No one else will ever beat you.
God,
good for ridiculous. You. You get a trophy. Go the frig home. If you play Bant Ramp, I'll give you a hug anyway.
Yeah, dude. Look at all these. This is an all-star lineup in this deck of every card that's ever been good in the last 2 years, plus Ugin, right? You got like Teferi Time Raveler, Hydroid Krasis, Joriel is that
this is a new card. This card is broken.
Oh yeah. Scavenging Ooze, Yoro, Nissa who shakes the world, Teferi Master of Time, Ugin,
Elspeth Conquers Death.
Elspeth, Shark Typhoon, everything that's ever been good, including Fable Passage. Just jam them right in there, and we're going to make a sweet deck out of it.
Number one deck in the Standard metagame.
Yep.
Number two, another heavy hitter pile of taking advantage of extra free mana and doing unfair things. Teamer Wreck.
What is this world coming to? Oh, wait. You got Euros in there. Oh, look. Growth Spiral again.
In both decks, yeah.
Yeah, damn, dude. Shark Typhoon.
They're breeding pool decks.
Dude, so I had heard somebody mention, I think, on their stream about Wilderness Reclamation that they really missed a crucial opportunity to make it a legendary card, which is probably what it should have been. Like
that is an interesting thought. That would
interesting take on that. Like that, it really does make sense.
Then you wouldn't want to play 4 of them, or maybe you would just because the effect is so good, even for 1.
Right, but it's just one of those things that like your average player. Go back to the days when they were banning Clark Clan Ironworks in Modern, and they said try explaining this mechanic to a new player, right? It's just very complicated and it's so difficult to understand and leads to some unfun and very hard to interact with games. You might be able to apply that same logic to Wilderness Reclamation to be like try explaining this to a new player. By the way, I'm going to untap my lands, but then I'm going to float some mana you're no longer using mana pool, right? So like, I'm just going to float some mana, then they untap, and I got 2 here, so I'm going to untap again. And then I'm having all of this. I got all of this mana here because I did this all on my end step. Yeah, remember when I said end my turn or move to end step? I'm going to do a whole bunch more stuff now.
So I point this out because, and even as you describe it and its ridiculousness really sinks into you, here is a July 7th 5-0 deck on MTGO where they're playing Wilderness Wreck in Modern.
No friggin' way.
Yeah. So number 2 deck in Standard is a 5-0 deck in Modern.
What? Where is this Wilderness Reclamation in here? I don't see it.
You lied to me. Hold on.
I do see a lot of standard cards in there, though.
Recent decks using Wilderness Reclamation, Sultai Control. So it may be in other Sultai Control lists.
Yeah, okay.
And not in this particular one. And I'm not going to go through all of them trying to find it.
But either way, regardless, like there's so many. Like look at this, Yorion.
4 Wilderness Reclamation,
Yeah,
5-0 list, Modern League, again, July 7th.
Sharknado is in this friggin' Modern deck. Come on.
3 Yorion,
Explosion.
Uro, Expansion Explosion.
Growth Spiral. Jesus.
Like, there's the Triomes. Like,
this is literally
a standard deck with better mana and better counter spells.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. We're seeing a dark time of Standard right here. I think it's all just these blue-green variant decks, man. Euro's too good.
If we go back to the Standard metagame, after that you get Rakdos Sacrifice and Jund Sacrifice, and this is where you were saying decks warp the metagame. Like Rakdos Sacrifice, Jund Sacrifice, they sometimes can beat Temur Rec and Bant Ramp, but they beat everything else.
Right.
So you try and play an
else.
aggro deck to beat Ramp or Reclamation, and maybe you'll get there, but you'll lose to Jund or Rakdos every time.
Yeah, and it's one of those demoralizing losses to the sacrifice decks, because it's like you might almost get there, but by the time you didn't quite get there, you're never coming back. Like when they get their sacrifice engines online, it's so demoralizing.
Yeah.
Like have you ever seen, they have the Mayhem Devil on the board, even just Mayhem Devil and the Cat Oven combo. It's like every single one of those cards you need to worry about.
Yeah.
Every single one of them, and they're all very hard to deal with.
Well, and if you could direct it all at your opponent, it's a bolt every time.
Yeah. Like it's a bolt every time by the very least. But then when they're like, okay, well, now I'm going to try to get crafty and take out one of your artifacts, or maybe even take out your Mayhem Devil or something. Well, in response, now I'm going to sack, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And then I might have a trick up my sleeve. I can sack my Mayhem Devil too. Like, God, man, it's so ridiculous. It's just so hard to deal with.
So looking at that Rakdos Sacrifice deck, I don't see any cards here that I've been seeing recently in Modern except for Blood Crypt.
Wow.
But I will be surprised if we don't see Village Rites or Call of the Death Dweller show up in Modern at some point.
Village Rites. Yeah, that is there was another card that was printed
Altar's
like
Reap?
this. Yes, Altar's Reap. That was I believe it was 1 mana, but it was a sorcery, right? So you couldn't really respond to what your opponent was doing.
What the hell?
Altar's Reap. And it is
loading.
Yeah,
Instant.
oh no, it's 2 mana. Yeah, it's 2 mana.
Two
So
mana.
there you go.
So this is a 1 mana Altar's Reap.
legit 1 mana Altar's Reap.
Yeah.
Like Altar's Reap wasn't good enough. They were
So
like,
Village Rites is costs 1 black for an instant as an additional spell to cast this spell. Additional cost to cast this spell. Sacrifice a creature. Draw 2 cards.
To be fair, I mean, the creature probably was a spell at one point, most likely.
It probably was. Actually, I was thinking about the reason for that earlier today. It's like you don't cast lands, you play lands.
Correct.
You don't play creatures, you cast creatures.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that terminology.
All cards are played, but not all cards are cast. weird. Crazy to think about. Crazy to think about. That could have been one. I could have saved that for another episode. All cards are played, but not all cards are cast.
Oh man, 45 minutes. We're going to put that right at the top of the episode. But it is interesting. Like those first two decks, tons of cards are seeing play in Modern right now. Are any of those actually seeing play in Pioneer? Let's just look at the top 2 or 3 decks in Pioneer. Oh look, a shit show.
What, the Dimir Inverter is still the thing?
Still the thing.
Nothing
People
changed.
People are really hoping for Monday.
Yeah.
Again, that banned and restricted announcement that's coming on Monday. It is not affecting Standard. It is affecting Historic, Pioneer, Modern, and something else.
So we're going to really see what their intentions are with Pioneer here. They might be trying like a Hail Mary here to bring the format back.
Yep.
They're not just going to let that go. That looks so bad for them. If they literally can't do what we were talking about. They just literally can't do it. They can't be like, we're going to let this format die. You know how bad that looks for them? Like they have to, commit something to this.
I don't know if Doofer regularly listens to us or not, but he's been scratching hard to get all the cards he needs together for Dimir Inverter. Because he's really hoping that we'll go back to playing Paper Pioneer at the shop.
Mark my words, dude. Thassa's Oracle banned in Pioneer. Banned.
So is there any chance that this is a deck with just Jace as a win con in its current form?
No way. No way.
Needs the redundancy.
Yeah, it needs the redundancy, but also we were talking about this probably a couple months ago now, but like Thassa's Oracle being one of those cards that's so far out of the norm that introduces an entirely new win condition to the game that you can't really prepare for.
Well,
you know what I mean? That most decks don't prepare for, and it'd be dumb for you to prepare for this in any deck. Like, you're not just going to be like, all right, well, I know I can get infected out. I know I can get milled out. And I can get beat down.
My opponent not being able to draw a card.
But what if my opponent not being able to draw a card? Let me plan on that, too.
No, that was printed also on Jace Wielder of Mysteries, and that is also Labman, right?
Yeah, Lab Maniac is definitely one that does it, but nothing does it so efficiently as Thassa's Oracle.
Agreed. So that will probably crush the deck. I expect that they would go to that instead of Inverter, because obviously Inverter did nothing until...
Right. It's not a good card.
If they ban Inverter of Truth, people will find ways to win with Thassa's Oracle.
Oh, for sure. Like it'll come back. There'll be another secondary card that people could pop in there. And plus, I mean, even if they don't have one now, they could probably print one later on. By accident. Oh shit, we didn't realize this allows you to exile your whole deck for very cheap. Like, damn it, we messed up.
So you were thinking about cards that might get unbanned, might get banned. We talked about this earlier. You had a snap this up for this week.
Man, I gotta snap this up. All right, so going along with this theme, right, of like thinking about bannings and unbannings, right? This is more of like a recent thing, but it's my price memory is so like ingrained on this card that I just can't believe it, dude. Today, I picked up a foiled Iona Shield of Emeria for $150. $150.
That's ridiculous. And it's a foil. So
dude,
good.
Like, I understand it's banned in Commander, right? I understand. Hell, maybe they'll never bring it back. That card is nasty. Like, that card is nasty. There's gonna be a format that's gonna use it someday, and that foiled version is gonna be worth more than $150. I can tell you that right now. Like, even Legacy, like, or not Legacy, but Vintage. Like, remember that little like rule of thumb that we said? Like, if a card pops up in Vintage a lot, like, take note of it. Like, it's probably gonna go up in price. You know what I mean? There'll probably be a time in history where it's gonna go up in price. Yeah. Iona Shield of Emeria is in just about every Oath deck in the sideboard. Just because it hoses certain decks. It absolutely hoses them. Like, there's nothing they can do. And I can imagine if they ever reprint this in like, or in standard or bring it to Pioneer or something like that, well, that's going to hose a lot of decks in those formats too, man. Like, it's going to hose them. You find a way to cheat that into play, hell, or even if you just have a ramp deck like you see these days where they're just ramping mana up and they're like, yeah, turn 5 Iona. Damn it. Like, you had better be running a diverse deck or you just got hosed. Like, that's just...
And that's only banned in Commander?
Only banned in Commander. There's no other format it's banned in.
Oh, man, I could just...
And here's some trickery, right? It's legal in dual Commander. I know that's not really a thing, and not a lot of people play that, but it's definitely something to consider. It's legal in dual Commander. And what is there a lot of in dual Commander? Mono-colored decks. Like, there are a lot of mono-red decks because it is an aggressive format. So if you can, like, show and tell in an Emeria or something like that, or just find a way to cheat in an Emeria very quickly, there you go. Like, it's legit. I know it's, people will say, Dual Commander is not as much of a format. Like,
so
it's not.
I want to let you know that on the grapevine, I heard that Sheldon Menery, who is part of the Commander Rules Committee, arguably the face of the Commander's Rule Committee, just recently let it be known that he built a competitive EDH deck, a CEDH deck. That might be, a small step for competitive Commander kind.
Yes. Well, dude, I think we're seeing it right now. We're seeing everybody investing in these tutors that have always been good, but people have shied away from them because it's Commander and it's casual. No, it's getting competitive. Like Vampiric Tutor, Demonic Tutor. People are getting these tutors that have historically been the nastiest, best tutors in the game because Commander's getting more competitive.
You mean Wishclaw Talisman?
Dude.
So you had to snap this up. Emeria foils.
Yes, Emeria foils. I would get them. Granted, the $1.50 that I bought mine for was a very good deal.
You're gonna have a hard time matching that.
Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time matching that. But I did see some others on there for between $2 and $3. Like, I would definitely where you can't go wrong. It's a mythic. It's a foiled mythic. Those rarely go below $2 anyway. But more importantly, it's used in some Eternal formats, and it was recently a staple or, a very miserable card to play against in Commander. How the hell is that $2, $3 right now? Get them. Snap them up.
My snap this up this week is Sauron, Imperious Bloodlord.
I love this card.
He's the 3-mana planeswalker that is just waiting to be wicked busted. Yeah. And this came up in conversation twice at F&M on Friday too. The options on this card are ridiculous, and it is a 3-mana planeswalker with only 1 black pip. So it's not even like a double black pip.
Jeez.
So obviously this is a vampire tribal planeswalker. You have to be playing in the vampire tribe to make this work. They constantly print vampires. For those of you that don't remember, the +1 on Sauron, Imperious Bloodlord, gives a creature you control death, touch, and lifelink. If it's a vampire, it gets a +1/+1 counter.
Wow.
So even a 1/1 that is now a 2/2 with death, touch, and lifelink is pretty good.
Yeah.
It has a second +1. You can sacrifice a vampire. When you do, Sauron, Imperious Bloodlord, lightning helixes any target.
Stupid.
There are recursive vampires. I'm going to talk about one in a second. -3. You may put a vampire creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. It does not matter how much the mana cost is.
That is the most busted thing about this card, what I think.
It's a show and tell.
It's a show and tell. This is a show and tell in Pioneer, in Modern, in any format right now. This is a show and tell.
For vampires. And there are some big, nasty vampires.
Well, it's like I always say, right? Like, look at this for how it can always be abused, right? Imagine the best card in the game is a vampire. The best creature you'd ever want to cheat into play. Imagine Grizzlebrand was a vampire, let's say, right? They print something like that.
Yep.
There you go. You don't even, you would be looking for ways to cheat that creature in anyway. And then this guy just happens to give you the way to do it. But even if they don't, right? What if they print some stupid card later on that they're not really thinking of, right? Like they're not really thinking about when they do it a couple sets down the road. And they print some like 1 mana card that's just like creatures in your deck have changeling or something. Like some stupid thing like that they're trying to bring some weird tribal, mixing
that
tribal
now
decks.
makes Emrakul a vampire in your hand.
Yep, and there you go. All right, so turn 3, bam, show and tell in Emrakul or show and tell in Grizzlebrand. Or,
so this is a card. We haven't said it in a while, but it has an ear to the street. It is listening for what's coming out.
I'm so happy you remembered that terminology.
No problem,
It's
buddy.
got an ear to the street.
Speaking of an ear to the street, Sauron Imperious Bloodlord absolutely adores Core Set 2021's Silver Smote Ghoul. Michael's looking at it like, I don't know about this guy.
I'm just reading it right now. At the beginning of your end stop, if you gained 3 or more life this turn, return this guy from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Sacrifice this dude, draw a card. What? Okay, so
I play this guy on turn 3 or whatever. Mm-hmm. I play Sauron. I plus Sauron, Lightning Helix, your creature. This guy comes back into play at end of turn. I can sack him again every turn while plussing Sauron and Helix every turn.
Sauron's plus is Lightning Helix?
Yeah, you have to sacrifice a vampire. You gain 3 life. This guy comes back.
Wow.
Zombie Vampire, Silver Smoke Ghoul.
Wow.
This will be the $5 uncommon if that sees any play in, say, modern black, mono black in Pioneer.
Yeah.
I think in black white, where you have there are some really good black white vampires in modern.
Yeah.
It really could be a thing. So this is a tribe that could take off. This is a tribal commander. It's not dirt cheap. It's regular copies are 10, 11, 12 bucks, but the foils are 14, 15, 16 bucks. So there isn't a huge spread.
Whoa, that's the price of a foil?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yep, I'm picking those up. $16 for a foil Sauron.
And there are people online that have 4 at $16.60. So you can bin a playset at that price. If you want to try and go cheaper, you can find some iron checked foil 4 or more. There's some people that have them around $13-14 in foil.
Oh my god.
If you're going to order them from all different vendors.
Oh my god, yeah, that's awesome. So when you first showed me that price, I failed to see the word foil over there. All I saw was the $16 and I was like, damn it, I should have got them when they were like $12.
Yeah.
And, I was like, damn it, it's already gone up. No, it hasn't. Like, that is the foil price for that card. That is so good.
And
that is so good.
Isn't Silver Smoke Ghoul one of those printed in the last friggin' 3 years cards? At the beginning of your end step, if you gain 3 or more life, return this card to the battlefield tapped. You get a 3/1 for free if you gain 3 life. You can sacrifice it to draw a card. You know what the black-white Sauron does? -X, put target creature back into the battlefield. All of your creatures have lifelink on your turn.
God, dude.
So all of your creatures have lifelink. We'll bring this guy back. You can sacrifice him to draw cards.
Wow. Dude, you want to know what's really cool about that is, speaking of show and tell and reanimating things in, right? If you remember the Legacy Reanimator deck, one of their backup plans that they'd go into their sideboard for after game 1 was show and tell.
Nice.
So when you're talking about a deck that likes to reanimate cards like that out, that inherently uses Sauron in it, how the hell do you deal with a deck like that? Like, that's insane. Your backup strategy fits right into your main deck. Like, get out of town, dude. Can't even nuke the graveyard and stop that. It's just like, it's fine. We'll just cheat something in. That's stupid.
This has been a fun time hanging out, talking about Magic again.
What do you guys think? They should unban from any banned list? Like,
yeah, we didn't talk about Pioneer ban lists or standard ban lists, or
we didn't even get into it. But I mean, I don't think there's not many formats that's going to affect this upcoming banning. But I think it's good. Think about other ban lists. What about Legacy? What about Vintage? Is there anything that would be completely fine to unban in these formats? What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments section down below.
Boy, that's clever. I've seen so many people speculating recently on what's getting banned. We want to know what's getting unbanned. Again, this is the Snapcast podcast. If you're listening to us on an audio device, please check out our YouTube channel. If you're on YouTube and you do just want to help us out and have a random podcast playing in the background, feel free to download us any place you like to listen to podcasts. We really would appreciate it. And leaving reviews also helps get us traction and more views. And if you have Eldrazi Displacer and Containment Priest, your opponents can't keep creatures anymore.
Oh my god. And they're the same color.
I know.
What? Oh yeah.
Bing, bing, bing. Yeah, I haven't actually listened to this from the beginning in forever.
Gonna have to feel it.
Ding, ding.
Burn.
Ding, ding, ding.